Welcome to Sex, Lies, and Consciousness with your luscious hostess, May Vu.
How exciting! Hi, everyone. This is May Vu. I am the radio host for Sex, Lies, and Consciousness Radio. Today, you actually is going to have a different host running this conversation. It's my collaborator, partner in crime, Sue Sabert. I have now two Sue on the hangout, so I'm a little woo. Anyway, so Susan, I'm going to turn it to you, and then I'll run the technical stuff behind. Go, baby.
Okay. Well, thanks, May. And I should say, I hope that we can co-create in good CTI fashion.
Of course.
So hi, everybody. I'm so excited that you're all here. And for some of you, this is my first time actually ever talking to you live. So I'm so excited. So we're doing this Google Hangout to chat about this topic that's been kicking around in some of our forums, especially on sexliesandconsciousness.com, about asking for what you want in your relationship and maybe not getting it. And all of the things that come up either, if you ask for it, if you're afraid to ask for it, what happens if your partner turns you down, all of those things that come up from having the courage, I think, to stand up for yourself and say what you want. And it seems to be a huge roadblock for some people and really a killer of a lot of relationships. So we've got a lot of people here who've got, I think, good background, or are just curious about it and just want to talk about it. So I thought maybe what we could do, so that's kind of like a quick frame up, but I'd love to just give everybody a chance to do some intros so we can get to know each other.
Before we go to the intro, I wanted just to add another thing. This stuff is so hard to talk about, especially publicly, but what I get is a lot of people, when they listen or watch these shows, these conversations, the comments I get is, thank you for saying that. I wish this was addressed and blah, blah, blah. So I don't want to, I know we're all experts in one way or another, and I want us to just really share what we know as an expert and also share what we know and as real life people struggling with this ourselves, because this is a human issue. This is not their issues and I have solved it for myself. We all live in it in one way or another. So that's what makes this conversation great. And the more honest and authentic we get, the more interesting the conversation is, rather than a bunch of talking head. What's my favorite word? Pontificating, yes, about this topic. All right, so back to you, Sue.
Well, and thank you for that. And I just want to throw out one other thing. For anybody that's new to these Hangouts with SLC, it's awesome because this is a group that's totally, I think, judgment-free. So really it fosters a great safe space to have real and raw conversations, like you were saying, May.
Yeah.
So, thanks again.
And we have Alexander coming in from Sweden too. How exciting! I just met him on Facebook just yesterday. So I'm so glad that you're here, Alexander. Why don't we just go into introduction? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So
I was going to ask Ben and Jen. You want to start? We'll give Alex a chance to come in.
Perfect. Hi, I'm Ben and Jen. And this is Ben and Jen. We have a business called Explosive Sexual Healing, and we work with women to clear all their blocks using 30 minutes of extended full release G-spot orgasm and ejaculation and all kinds of fun stuff.
It's amazing.
Did we lose?
Yeah, they'll pop in and out.
It is.
That's
cool.
how
Awesome.
it is,
We're looking forward to it. It's fun being on our first Google Hangout with you, May and Sue, and everybody else.
Thank you. And personally, why is this topic intriguing to you guys?
So for me, at least, I actually have no experience not getting what I want. Maybe I
me
come on the
either.
other side about how to get what you want. And we have a relationship where we give each other everything the other person wants. And so we want to really express how important it is to stay true to yourself, but at the same time surrender to your partner. Surrender, I mean, if you're constantly giving everything your partner wants and enjoying it, then your relationship will thrive forever. And when I get triggered about maybe something she wants and I get triggered, trying to figure out why am I getting triggered, and then realizing that as something that can be cleared in myself to be able to give my queen, her kingdom and whatever else she wants.
And can I just dive right in a little deeper here with you guys?
Of course.
Okay? Well, before you got here, I remember there was a short time that you weren't getting what you want, and it drove you nuts. Do you remember that time?
Yeah.
That was a very painful time for both of you.
That's true. We can talk. We can definitely.
Oh yeah, we can talk about that.
There you go.
We're wide open about that now.
We're not where we are now in the beginning.
We didn't want to talk about it at first, but we can talk about it now.
Okay, we're gonna keep introducing each other, and then. But thank you for going there with me.
Yeah, and this is why we have some experience in that too.
Yeah.
And at the time, I wasn't used to getting what I want, also, and so that's why it was driving me crazy.
Yeah, totally. Got it. I'll go next. I'm May, and let's see how I relate to this topic personally is that I started out with being in a marriage and didn't know what I want, never asked for what I want. And then when I sort of knew what I want, I asked for it so much that I blew up my whole entire marriage. And I didn't have any patience to wait for it to come. I just I suppressed, and then finally I just exploded and must have what I needed to have. So that blew up. And now I'm in a new relationship where I get to ask for what I want, and I get a lot of what I want, and something really important to me, I still don't get to have what I want, and yet I'm able to make peace with that and work with it and be honest about it. So I think all of that is also very important in this conversation. So that's what I bring to the table. And Mr. Michael Duhaney, your camera is not on, but does that make your sound better? I hope.
I hope.
Yes, it does.
Yeah,
Amazing.
It's been cutting in and out, so I haven't been hearing a lot. So I took my video off, but hope you can hear me.
You sound great.
Excellent. So how I just fallen online through our connection with these two.
Okay, stop for a second.
And love, hope.
Okay, start over again, because just when you start saying something meaningful, it just went caca. Okay, now say something important. Quickly.
Okay, quickly.
Oh no, Michael, it's hard to hear you. It's staticky.
Michael, you know what you can do is that you can go to the chat button to the left of the screen, and you actually could type what you want to say. We're gonna keep going, and then I'll come back and either you say it or I'll read it out loud so that we can still get your voice on here. Okay. All right.
Okay,
thanks,
good.
honey. All right,
Okay,
Stephen. Let's hope that your sound is better. Nope. We're gonna go with Sue Irwin. Sue, can you hear us? So we can't hear you, and maybe it's because your mic is muted up there, so see about that. And Alexander, can you hear us? And can you say something so we can see if your sound is good?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Good, we can hear
I
you.
can hear you.
That's
I'm
important.
just learning what this is.
Okay.
Oh, Stephen, are you back? No?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, then speak.
I speak. Woof, woof.
Good. So introduce yourself, honey.
Better?
Just go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm Stephen Schomburg. I'm Stephen Schomburg. I'm a coach in Denver, Colorado. I assist people in exploring their darker sides and other parts of things that they're afraid to express for what they want, and look for their more unusual ideas and helping that out of them.
Great. And how are you related to this topic about asking for what you want?
Oh, because sometimes I don't get what I want.
Great. Perfect answer. All
But
right.
it's not for lack of trying.
You can talk about the many ways that you try. Sue Irwin, how about you, honey?
We still can't hear Sue.
Okay. Let's go with Alexander since he's here and we can hear him. How's that? Alexander, do you like to introduce yourself briefly and then also share with us how you relate to this topic in which way, like about asking for what you want?
Could you please say that again, because
The sound's terrible.
sound was a little bit too low or something.
Okay, so introduce yourself, what you do, and also how you relate to this topic of the night, which is asking for what you want and you may not get it.
Well, I'm from Sweden, or at least I live in Sweden, and I work a lot with something called sexability. That is a mixture between sexuality and sensibility. So it's a play with words, but it's a lot about attitude. The attitude you have towards yourself and towards others. And asking for what I want is how I get it, is to ask for it. And to dare to ask for it sometimes. I practice that a lot, and also believe the answers that I get from people I ask. That's a tough one sometimes.
Awesome.
But it's by practicing.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
And Greg is here?
Yes, Greg Joseph, you're here. You know, I just got a chat message saying that Sue is here listening in but not participating. So thank you, Sue. Gregory, are you participating, honey? Can we hear you? Unmute yourself. Okay. Sue, why don't you just introduce yourself and then we'll keep it going.
So, Sue Seibert. I've been working with May, playing in Sex, Lies, and Consciousness for, about a year now, I guess. And I came to this topic about asking for what you want and not getting it. It's been a prevalent theme, I guess, in my life since I started waking up and realizing what I wanted. You know, I've lived both sides of the coin. In my previous marriage, I was the one being asked to, give more, more intimacy, more sex, and I wasn't ready to, and that caused a lot of issues. Led my husband, I think, one of the reasons to have affairs. And then later, when I was ready to ask for more, he wasn't ready to give. And, then it set us on our path of separating and, moving on in our lives. So it's, that's just like the high level stuff. And there's so many ins and outs and fears and, like Alexander said, daring. Like sometimes just daring to say what you want it seems impossible. But it's like you said at the beginning, May, it's such a vulnerable topic that I really wanted to put it out there in the space because I know a lot of people are struggling with it.
Yeah. I guess it's a start, right? I mean, when you say that, what I get is this is the beginning of everything, of sex, of communication or something, is the asking for what we want and and getting it or not getting it and how to handle it.
Mm-hmm.
And when that gets shut down, or if we don't dare to even say anything, then we're just SOL.
Right.
Right.
And at what point does it become painful enough that you actually do dare? It's usually, you're in some type of crisis, in order to get the gumption up to do it.
Yeah. So
I'm
how do we
curious-
start? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm curious, like, from, I'm really curious about Ben's experience of, you led with, I always get what I want, but it sounded like there was experiences that...
Yeah, Jen was a hard one to break in.
We're both really good at getting what we want until we met each other, and then we were both of us were terrible at getting what we wanted when we first got married.
Yeah, so I see from what you guys are talking about, Sue and May, about when late in the game of your marriage you started asking for what you want, and then it was like a new thing,
Mm-hmm.
And so we've never had the kind of thing where we don't say what we want. The thing that was hard for us was not getting what we wanted. Like, we didn't want to give each other
what they wanted.
Yeah. What we wanted.
I wanted what I wanted, and he wanted what he wanted, but we didn't want to give that to each other.
And they did not match up.
No.
And so at first it was battle. It was just headbutting. It was insane.
It was hostile takeover.
Oh yeah, it was a hostile takeover of my masculinity. She was trying to steal my masculine, and and I wasn't gonna let her get away with it.
Mm.
And it was rough. It was like neither one of us were getting what we wanted, and so.
So can I ask, what's that like? Like when you're both on your own side, is there tension? Do you talk?
Oh, yeah.
Like, are you fighting? Are you
We're
not
fighting?
talking?
Yeah.
It was a complete lack of intimacy, because we didn't. Instead of going close, we were like trying to pull the other one into our little world, and it was insane. We both, we just met. She moved in with me. We got married. We quit our jobs. We
started the business.
We got tattoo rings. And
This was a month after we met, pretty much. A month after we met, I moved in, we got married, and then a month after that, we started the business. So we didn't even know each other.
We did not know each other.
Yeah.
So, I was like, who the fuck did I just marry? This chick is insane. And she's like, who did I just marry? I married an asshole, And so, oh man, we were pulling our hair out. I was literally I would look out my window of my cottage and see bars. Like, I thought I was in prison.
It was like a prison. It was
because
bad.
we weren't giving each other what we wanted. And so the hardest thing in the world, literally, we were going insane. We were having screaming fits. There was one time I had a phone call with May, and I'm out in the car, and I'm like, this fucking bitch. I don't know what the fuck is wrong with her. She's not, I was going insane. I did not know what to do, but, there was no backing down for either one of us.
Yeah, I was on the phone with his ex-girlfriend thank God she's an amazing human being, trying to sort his stuff out with her. She's, super calm. I'm, freaking out. Yeah.
Yeah, my ex-girlfriend was talking her through our relationship.
Yeah, she totally did.
Telling her how to deal with me. And
I have to say, that what you guys are saying is actually not unique. I actually have had other couples, and I don't know if this is true, but just from the data, the small tiny data point that I have, a lot of young couples, newer couple who come together, there's a phase that it's all this ego challenging each other, and one has to top and dominate the other one. Like what you said, stealing my masculine, both sides are wrestling over that masculine space, and it's a very common scenario that I get to hear of a lot, so it's not just unique to you guys, and so thanks for being that voice for that. Yeah,
and there was, honestly, we wouldn't have stayed in the relationship if we didn't have all these systems set up in place to keep us there. we would not have stayed. If we hadn't quit our jobs, if she hadn't moved in with me, if we hadn't gotten married and gotten tattoos, we would have been gone.
And we had the business together.
There
were several things that were put in place that I really think was Spirit putting in place for us. That it was almost the universe saying, no, you guys are going to push through this.
There was no way out unless it was starting all over.
Yeah.
And I kept thinking, well, there was a nice limited edition healing modality we had. The world is really going to miss out on this. I'm still going to write a book about it, but maybe I'll find another Reiki master to marry. But I'll tell you real quick, the difference. What really made the difference for us was when we stopped trying to get what we want and started trying to give what the other person wanted. And so now what we talk about is trust, commitment, and surrender are the 3 things that the people really need to not only get what they want out of their life, to stepping in their purpose, trusting that this is your purpose, committing to your purpose, and surrendering to your higher self and not your ego.
But doing the same thing in your relationship.
And so anytime we start to pick at each other, we ask each other and ourselves, am I trusting, am I committing, am I surrendering? How could I trust more? How could I commit more? And how could I surrender more? And then I'm saying, okay, I'm trusting and I'm committing, but I'm not really surrendering right now, so I'm going to surrender a little more. What do you want, babe?
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, talk about the 100% too.
Oh yeah, and realizing that it's 100% my fault, and it's 100. And so I have to say it's 100% my fault.
And I have to say it's 100% my fault.
Responsibility. And then when things are going bad and when things are going good, it's 50-50. You look funny, May. What?
Sorry, I'm trying to help Paul get on. Sorry, I'm doing stuff. Yeah.
Awesome. Is that clear?
Yes. I'm listening to the 100%.
It's 100% my fault or my responsibility, and it's 100% her responsibility.
Fix it.
When things are working, we take 50-50.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, and so it seems interesting that you've had this experience, and it sounds like you're also using it in the work that you do.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you hadn't had that, you wouldn't be able to, share that and help. It sounds like probably clear some blocks too that some of your clients are having.
Absolutely.
Yes, everything we teach has been something that we've been through. It's all a learning experience. And we've been through it all.
Of course, of course. I mean, that's what teachers is or coaches are, right? We're just one. We may have just walked one step ahead of our client. Right. Not a lot of many steps, just one, just enough to know that there's a dip right there. Don't fall into that dip, Or if you do, here's how you get out of that, right?
Yeah, and I'm a firm believer that we teach what we need to know, or we teach what we need to learn, or what we just learned. Exactly.
Yeah,
I'm a firm believer in that.
Yep.
Michael, do you think? Let's try Michael. See if he can hear. We can hear him. Michael, you want to add something? No.
Is he?
Oh, there you are.
Yeah.
And say something. Oh, look, we have Paul Hess. It's a full house today. Woohoo!
Hey, Michael, can you hear us? We can't hear you, Michael. How about Paul?
Sorry, baby.
Paul, you need to unmute yourself, honey. There's a mute button at the top of the screen. How's that? Can you hear? Let's try it again. Nope. There's yeah, we can't hear you, Paul. Usually Google.
Okay. I just had to.
Yay, that's good. Introduce yourself, Paul, and how are you related? What's your personal experience to this topic of asking for what you want and not getting it or whatever?
Is everybody listening? I hear people talking. I mean, is the show going on?
We're waiting for you to introduce yourself.
Because I hear something in the background. It sounds like everyone's talking. But no, I guess I have one of your previous shows going in the background. Anyway, never mind.
Multitasking.
Oh, God. Okay, I clicked out. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, at this point, I'm just looking for partners, so it's like, whatever. I mean, it's a kind of a, the shoot to kill ratio is, not that great when you're just, fishing, trying to meet and get things started. But I don't know.
Can I put some words in your mouth?
No, I prefer other things.
Well, what I think what you represent that's really powerful is a strong, powerful man who's really strong in his masculine, looking for to meet up with women to date, to fuck, to have relationship, whatever, and yet it's really hard. It's really hard to be upfront and to negotiate that, so what you're talking about is the asking initially, like right now we're talking about asking when we are already in a relationship, but what you're talking about I think is even more difficult, which is how do you even start asking what you want in the very beginning of a relationship where the woman hasn't empowered you yet in her life, and so you get a lot more no's than we do. So I just wanted to
thank you. Yeah, thanks. That's very good. I'm talking to somebody who may become a Tantra partner, so we can be very explicit about a lot of different things we might do, so that's good.
Awesome.
So I'm asking, and we're not going to know. We're going to have to meet, first and stuff like that, and she's asking too, so.
Yeah.
So that feels good.
Stephen, how about you? What's your experience like?
Well, not getting what I want.
It's like the video.
No.
Oh, Stephen.
Darn it.
We lost him.
I know.
Michael, your video is up. Can you say something again? See if your audio is better. Michael?
He's trying.
Oh, technology.
I know. I mean, I hear it takes a lot for us to even get to this place, so enjoy it. So why don't you talk a little bit more about your and is it still current? Like what's going on now?
Yeah, very interesting. I left my relationship and in a new one, and still definitely repeating a lot of the patterns. I'm very much used to getting my own way, and I do not like it when I don't get my way. I feel like in a lot of ways I'm a 10-year-old again, having temper tantrums, and so like Ben, you were saying the surrender piece. That's been an overarching theme in my life for a couple of years. I think
you and every single woman that walks in our door.
Yeah.
Well, then I'm in good company. So it's really hard, especially like when coming into this awakened space. That I have been for a couple of years now. I'm much more comfortable asking for what I want, either connection-wise, intimacy, sexually, and yet it's hard for me when my partner doesn't respond or when we're not in sync, or he's just not interested in trying something that I'm putting out there in the space. And it's still hard sometimes to ask for something. I'm still a little bit shy or nervous about it, and then to be shot down is hard.
How dare them?
And I find even with the skills and the knowledge I have, I still feel myself shut down, and then I get pissed off and distant and all of those things. until we can kind of get to that place, Ben and Jen, what you were talking about a little bit, where you kind of come back to what is really important, and that's giving what the other person is needing. But it's like every day is a challenge, and so I know that I'm not unusual, so I'd love to hear other people's tips and advice too. So that's one of the reasons that I wanted to have this topic out there.
Yeah, I don't have a tip of advice yet, but what I hear you say, I wanted to highlight, which is that place of like when we're too afraid to ask for what we want, and then we suck up the courage to ask for what we want, and then we get what we call shot down, and immediately it's like an express road to defensive land and rejection land and abandonment land. Like we have no other option. Like I have no option. I just go to pissed off, defensiveness, protecting myself, and fighting back for what I want, right? And it's just, I think it's so, for me, it was really important for me to recognize and really be honest with myself with that. Like, wow, like he has no option other than to say yes. Right? and if he doesn't say yes, it's terrible consequences going his way in so many ways that I could dish out to.
Yeah. And if you can't say yes, if he can't say yes, he can't.
Can't say
no. If he can't say no, he can't say yes.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
That's a great point.
And a lot of times too is that a man needs to say no. That just means I'm thinking about it and I'm trying to make it work. I'm looking at all the yes, no details or something like that, rather than a no as in I hear it as abandonment and rejections and all that stuff. And so it's just fascinating the complexity of that one little interchange.
Right. It's interesting because I felt like, I've learned this big lesson. I'm not going to repeat that. I know better. And, you just get, at least for me, I'm knocked on my ass and, the universe is saying, nope, you got some more unwinding to do around it. Mm-hmm. And luckily, we have we're connected enough and in tune with each other enough that he knows what's going on with me. So he knows when I'm temper tantruming and all of that shit, that's just part of my learning process.
Part of your processing. This is what it takes for you to accept a no. How about you, Paul? How do you stay positive and not, like, as a woman, I think of what a man has to do to connect with us women, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't have enough security in me to keep going at it and keep getting no's and rejected in so many ways. So, like, how do you not let that affect your ego or self-confidence or your
well,
sense
thank
of
you. Yeah, I'm glad you recognized that problem. That's really good. Well, basically, I don't see it as I'm getting rejected. I just see it as they're failing to receive.
Good. Blame it on them.
Yeah, that's why I'm half kidding. I mean, but people are at different frequencies, and where I'm at, they just can't relate. I mean, what was really gratifying to me is something that a Tantra teacher told me. Sabrina Chaw is her name. I don't know if you know her up in San Francisco, but she said, I was at a workshop there, and she said, Paul, I've got to pull you aside. None of the single women here can deal with your energy. It's too strong. I felt it when I walked in the room. So you're going to have to do eye gazing with a dude who's really experienced who can handle it. So I just remember that, It's like, I just remember things like that. And, people are at where they're at. And sometimes I'm putting out negative energy, and that could be what it's about. But it's important to know what's me and what's them and not to blame myself. That's a really hard thing, is for me not to blame. Well, it's not hard. I mean, for guys in general, it's to not to blame themselves. You know, and just see it as there's a situation that's been designed that's beyond the control of any individual here. There's all kind of negative beliefs about men and about sexuality and about women being sexual, and that's what's playing itself out. And the trick is to try to sort of find an interaction that helps transcend all that. So I try to figure out the logic of the game going on, and I don't blame myself or try not to blame them either.
Yeah. Well, one other thing that you said that sorry, so I just want to grab the thing that you said that I think is so important. Is like, I think there's something really tough for a man. Like what I know of you is that you are very masculine. You are in your strong stance. You probably work a lot to get there.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you don't come across soft and sensitive. I call it the sensitive new age guy, like so that us women would like you, So I think we react poorly a lot of time to men like you because like we would be confrontational. We would think that you're trying to like dominate us or something, like we would make you the bad guy and like would go and like kill you if we could, like to put you away kind of thing. So I think energetically there's a lot of that going on. So I think there's something about men being men and how do we women really respect and work with that energy rather than try to kill that energy off.
Well, thank you. My self-image is still caught up in the days when I was more of probably on the weaker side of that. I don't really even see I perceive myself as sensitive, and I don't feel like I'm trying to hide that. But I can be bold too. I mean, yeah.
Well, and I was going to pick up the point that you just, went with, May, and the importance of being aware of the energy or the vibes or your presence and how other people are receiving that. Because, in your mind, it might be like you're being very compassionate and upfront, and you're coming across a whole different way. But you don't know that, and how that affects, like thinking about like how that affects conversations in this topic of, I'm going to put myself out there and ask for something that's really maybe daring for me, and I'm coming across, I don't know, maybe bullying, even though that's not my intention.
Coming across as what?
Bullying. Like bullying or like
bullying.
Oh.
I'm just talking in general,
Yeah.
Not about you, Paul.
I think I want to go a bit more specific. Like, let's talk about sex, since it is about sex. I want us to like get a little bolder on like, what is it that we dare to ask for around sex with our partner. And then how tricky is that? Because there are a lot of couples, one wants more sex or more adventurous or something, and then the other one is just completely, stuck or resistant or not wanting or not feeling safe to do it, So it just creates so much drift out there. And so I wanted to see if we can touch that more personally, if we can. Anyone?
Yeah.
I'll go.
Yay! That's very bold of you guys. I love you. Go, honey.
Well, number one, I want to just speak to when Ben and I were hitting our heads and just butting heads.
Yeah.
What it took me a while to realize, in the beginning for both of us, we kind of thought it was my feminine and his masculine that were going at it, and that was bullshit. My feminine was scared shitless. And so my masculine was trying to protect me. And I think for a lot of women right now, we have been so conditioned, especially powerful women, in our lives, in our daily lives. I've been, a lead teacher in a classroom. I've been a manager, whatever. And so in business life, I was used to leading. In all of my past relationships, I was used to wearing the pants. And I didn't even realize I'd been wearing the pants. That was the other thing. I had No idea. I thought I was in my feminine. I was like, I'm girly. No.
Now she's not wearing any pants.
I'm wearing 8 months pregnant. I'm wearing nothing but dresses and no panties. But
I'm not wearing pants either. The beauty of style.
That's what you're really up to, Ben, huh?
No, it was actually my masculine was fighting his masculine, you know.
Yeah.
And and that was really interesting. And it was completely outside of my awareness what was going on when we first started bickering. So when we first got together, he really wanted more intimacy. You know, he wanted partner engagement, and I
wanted her to make eye contact with me when we were having sex.
And that was not my thing. I didn't. And this was another thing I was lacking in awareness of. I was erotic trance. So there are 3 different sexual styles. There's partner engagement, there's erotic trance, and there is role play. And most of us dabble in all 3, but most of us are going to favor one. And I was erotic trance, so I was very much in my body. I am great at getting myself off. Like, just let me focus on my body. I can come, whatever. And so when he was trying to get me to focus and looking in the eyes, I was like, I'm not in my body now. I can't come. Now I'm frustrated. Now I'm not coming. I've never had a problem with this. I've never not been able to come.
I'm with you on that one, sister. I'm all like, what is all this spiritual shit about, you know, sex? I just want to come, feel good for myself.
I always needed this.
Look at anybody.
And while she's not kissing me and not looking me in the eyes, I'm losing my boner because there's no. So it was a fine line. Like, okay, we need a little bit of partner engagement so I can stay hard, so that we can go back into erotic trance, so you can get off. And then it was like, okay, more partner engagement. Okay. Eventually, we both come at the same time.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh man, that was awesome.
Yeah. Eventually, we did make it work, but it really involved. You know, me working on looking him in the eyes, which I didn't even realize I had an issue with in the first place. So when I first started having to do this, all kinds of stuff came up with me. I had sexual abuse stuff that I was working through. I mean, it was really, really challenging. I was bawling. I mean, it was that emotional. And I had no idea. I'd never had stuff like that come up in the bedroom before. So it was weird. He was pulling it out of me. And then with him, he practiced more erotic trance and being in his body and being comfortable with that. And so we had to switch off, and we made a game of it. Like, we actually made a game of it. Okay, tonight's erotic trance night. Okay, the next night it's partner engagement night. You know, we kind of played with it, for a while.
Yeah, and so none of the styles are better than the others. Sexual mastery comes from mastering all 3 of them. And like my mastery of partner engagement was like at a level 1000, you know.
I'm great at erotic trance. And so good.
And I had nothing to offer when it came to erotic trance. I couldn't even keep an erection, you know. Like my ability to stay aroused was based solely on my partner.
Right.
And so we made a practice of me getting into, you know, again, this is the giving and receiving and the, you know, the push and the pull thing, and now I can, you know, have my eyes closed and keep a boner.
Yeah. And we threw role play. I know, right. And we threw role play in the mix just for that was a fun one to throw in the mix just to like get us, okay, now with role play night, this is like medium ground, you know, middle territory. And we've had a lot of fun.
And so the reason that this is, I can see May wants to talk, but I'm just going to talk a little more.
Well, I wanted to highlight that because it's important for people to know. I mean, it's like, you know, we all learn about sex from our teenage years, right? Like being fondled in the back seat, and then the guy stick his thing inside us, and off we go, and then we call that a sexual relationship. We call that a marriage, and all this stuff, right? And so, what you guys just threw out the 3 names, like we also already know that, but we don't. I wanted to highlight that and say, wait a minute, there's such a thing called erotic trance. What does that mean? You know, and what's the other word again? You know, these are big words that like I don't have in my vocabulary yet.
We're such sex nerds. We'll be driving home and we're like, I think I need 15 minutes of partner engagement cuddling.
See?
Half an hour of arousal counting, masturbation, And then we're like,
we have our binder for our clients, and it has like, you know, love practices and
intimacy building
intimacy
practices.
building.
I didn't get that binder.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I want one.
Awesome. Yeah, so anytime we start to pick on each other, we're like, let's go do the intimacy building exercises, and we can grab a binder.
Well, but you know, I could see in the kind of couples that run into each other, you know, first of all, we don't have the language and the understanding of what is going on, the dynamic, right? And then we don't have the patience. We hear everything through this filter of like, you want more from me, I'm not good enough. You want more from me, I'm not good enough. So then we say, fuck you to each other. Right? And, you know, immediately someone said, you know, I need more connection time. The other one rolled their eyes and go, oh, God, how much more connection can we get? You know, like.
I did a coaching call about this morning.
Yeah, see? So, like, I think that's really important to, like, slow it down and go, honey, out there, you know, you guys, there are all these things that we need to do, and we need to have good communication and talk to each other and, you know, and negotiate and ask for it.
Yeah.
Ask for what you want. Back to the topic.
This is where using our knowledge comes into play, because at first I was like, she can't even look me in the eyes. Like, why? You know, there's no intimacy. God damn it, intimacy.
I remember that conversation. You talked about that.
Yeah. And then I realized where she was at and where I was at, and how it was just two different things. So once I labeled it, you know, then I could see what she was asking for, so that I could give that to her. She didn't know what she was asking for, but I could see what she was asking for. And so that's where, and like you said, we need to make it not so significant, you know?
Right, it's not personal. Like what I needed, or what I was used to, really, and what he was used to, it wasn't personal. It was just that was what worked for getting us off, you know? And knowing that you can practice these different styles too, and just making it a game. Making it a game rather than it being personal, I think was huge.
Yeah, so when we were yelling at each other and taking it personally, we were making it significant. God damn it, we got to get this figured out right now.
Yeah.
You know, and
there's something wrong with you.
Right, rather than
you.
Exactly. What's wrong with you? Yeah, exactly. Right, rather than making it an excuse to like, wow, like we could both grow from this and we could play with this, and you know, we could. It doesn't have to be perfect, but we could, you know, just make it a game.
And so I actually went first. I would say, okay, tonight we're gonna do an hour of erotic trance, where we're gonna be inside our bodies, no kissing, no eye contact, and tomorrow we'll do partner engagement. Yeah. And so, you know, that's a great way to do it. Is to give first, and then, you know.
Yeah, and then they'll like playing that game, and then they'll, you know, want to play with you. Yeah.
And the most important part, though, is to have a partner that is willing to play the game, and is willing to grow, and is willing to... And this is the thing, is we often grow out of our partners, you know? As you married women know, or women that have been married, you know, we grow out of our partners. When they stay stagnant and we want to grow, or they want to grow and we stay stagnant, you know, people are changing and stuff, you know, we outgrow each other. And that's why it's important to have a partner that's willing to grow with you and trust, commit, and surrender.
Yep. Anything to add to? Yes?
Well, the thing that was coming up for me is, I guess, is my personal experience, is you know, with my partner, you know, I'm sometimes not necessarily pointing the finger at him and you know, blaming or anything like that, but he takes it personally. And so when he takes it personally, then it just shifts everything, and you know, things go off the track that way too.
I totally agree, man. 100%.
Who's that?
Who was that?
It's me.
Oh, we just had someone just randomly drop in, I guess.
Heck yeah, I did.
Yeah. What did they say? I'm going to eject them.
Thank you. I would not. No, don't do that. No, please. I don't have friends. Can I please talk to you guys?
Premature ejaculation.
I like that power to be ejecting. So I ran to get, sorry, I left my post just when I really need it. I ran to get the shirt that I got the other day. Isn't that cool?
From Reed?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's what
I
he was
love him.
He has an event tonight that we were considering going to.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
city.
I really like him. He's just
great.
really sound. I like him a lot. Sue, were you saying something, honey? I'm sorry, I missed it.
It's okay. I'm just talking about the fact, in my experience, when sometimes I'll ask for something from Andy, I'm not, and he's not, willing or able to give it. We may have conversations that I'm not blaming or pointing the finger at him, but he will take it personally.
They do that.
Yeah, and then it just becomes it's just a big old mess, another big old mess. But it's a growing opportunity. But sometimes I'm sick of growing.
You got to lie in that luscious bed and just be there, not have to grow an inch. Yeah.
So, so it's such a, sometimes it's like a minefield, I guess. You never know, what you're going to blow up.
Exactly, totally. It's in the recovery that's important. I think we make it to be about not blowing up or get it right and all that stuff. But I really think if we start focusing on the recovering part, I think that might save our butt a lot more time.
One of the recovery methods, and kind of it sounds like Ben and Jen's, maybe a similar one, is we came up with a strategic cuddling time. So every day, because sometimes we were disconnected or whatever, we have strategic cuddle time.
That's so great.
It's so important.
That's like a regular tantra practice, of like, taking that time to breathe together, look in each other's eyes, and then hold each other. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and we found that once, whenever we're connected and really present and in our bodies and being able to touch each other, it wipes away all the shit. Takes it away.
Like, shut the fuck up and hold each other and touch each other. Like Ben and Jen is also so eloquent. 3 words: trust, commit, and whatever. I'm all like, shut the fuck up and hold each other.
Surrender's the most important one, Nate.
Right, trust, commit, and surrender. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, you know me. I'm a strong woman. I have a hard time with surrendering. That was the first I would forget about surrender.
Blocked it out. Blocked that one out.
We have ways of handling that, May.
But that's why I work so well with strong women who has a hard time surrendering, because I know that number really well.
Yeah, I think that's an issue I relate to too, is the power struggle. And as you put it so well, Jen, of maybe being afraid, women being in their masculine and afraid of their feminine, and one of the ways I find it's productive for women to escape that is to negotiate being, some of the women I hook up with are submissive and I'm dominant. And I know what their needs are. I know what they want out of it. So it's not like I'm being selfish or something. The first thing I ask is, what do you get off on? And then we work it out. And that usually goes pretty well. Then there's they want me to, if there's any struggling, it's a game and they want me to win. And they'll be mad if I don't, something like that. So,
so for you, role playing is good.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I want. It's 7 o'clock, so I want to throw one more thing in, because I think this one is also a really charged topic around asking for what you want, and I'll use my own life experience on this one. It's like, so I have a really great partner. And he likes it monogamous. And I like it, like my style is I like a really strong partner, and then I like to be able to like invite or explore and come back and report out and play and all this stuff. But I like that freedom, and it's just like really hard for him to even hear it. And this is a big one because I think this crosses some lines. This crosses lines for a lot of couples out there around monogamy. It's like, no, aren't we enough? Shouldn't you get everything you need from us? Don't you find me attractive, or aren't I doing good enough for you? All this stuff that goes on, and it has nothing to do with that. So one of the things that so I've been so committed to being honest about it, so at least I openly talk about it. As you can see, I'm on the Google Hangout talking about this openly. And what I had to learn was, what happened was I would suck it up and say, oh, God, I really am attracted to that person, and I really want to go and experience him. And I would say that to him, and of course my partner would go sideways. And then when I see him go sideways, then I go sideways, and I'd be like pounding on him for going sideways, and God damn it, don't you know this? You already knew this about me when you first met me, and all this stuff goes at him. And then one day I caught myself in the middle of my tirade and going, oh, wait a minute, he gets a right to go sideways when he hears that. Like, I have to get good at witnessing his going sideways if I'm going to continue to be honest with myself and with him. So that was like a light bulb that went on for me. It's like, oh my God, I thought my job was just to ask for what I want. I didn't know that my job continued. First you have to ask for what you want, then you have to stand in the heat as your partner process what you want and go through their stuff. And not take it on.
He's gonna do it.
Right? And then approve of that, whatever he does, defensive, go back, go silent, withdraw, whatever he does, and love him for that. And then trust that we continue to go forward. Man, when I figured that out, it took away most of our pain. Then I can still be free with my honesty. He can hear it, he can go sideways, and we could still love each other and reconnect each other. And I think that step is really missing in a lot of couple negotiation.
Yeah, so you were in your honesty and not allowing him to be in his honesty. So now that both of you are able to be in your honesty.
That's great.
Exactly.
That's really
Yeah.
Really powerful. Yeah.
I love that frame that you just said, like, I'm okay with being in my honesty. That means I must be okay with him being in his honesty. And it's so easy to forget that part. It's like, I did my part, you suck it up and deliver then,
Yeah, exactly. So I have an example. So this morning, I got, so Jen and I, we don't fight anymore. We just don't. Like, we just have, like, I don't know, we don't need to. It's not necessary.
Yeah.
Fighting comes from the ego.
We've fought enough for like 80 years of marriage. We just come back to it all.
So she was on the phone with the insurance company today, trying to put me on her thing for her car, and she's like telling the insurance lady's like, how do you use your car? And she's like, well, for business sometimes. We go to the store and buy lube for our clients, and I'm like, why are you like? And so the lady's like asking more.
She's asking me
She's
what
just
we
asking
do.
more questions and making it more complicated. And I was like, just tell her we use the car like twice a week, like And
I'm trying to answer the questions honestly, okay?
Yeah, and so then later she's like, you know what? I don't like it when you tell me what to say on the phone, and blah blah blah. And I felt myself getting like, you know what? Why don't you just not say dumb things on the phone? But then, like, I had to remind myself that, like, would I rather be right or would I rather be happy? And so I remembered I'd rather be happy. And so this is where my surrender came in. I walked over and kissed her on the lips, told her I loved her, and, she started crying, and she was like, I'm going through this shit with my pregnancy, and, like, I'm pregnant. My body's taking a toll.
Oh, she's pulling the pregnant card on you. No,
Yes.
I'm just kidding.
No, I will use that card.
I thank her nonstop for carrying my baby. I will go buy her things.
But it wasn't just the pregnancy either. It was also, and we talked about this too. There were a few times where it's like, let me speak, let me talk. I can work this out. I'm a grown woman. If I'm asking you for help with it, that's a different thing. And so we even talked out, if you need to communicate with me, can you write it? As funny as it sounds, can you write it down rather than talking? Because for me, if I'm talking to one person, then I've got another person on the other, I'm like going batty on the phone trying to deal with two people. So, then
of course there's a part of me, it's like, well, of course I know what to say better, like what I'm going to say is,
right.
So I have to remind myself, like, everybody has their own way of dealing with things, and she's going to get her shit taken care of. So that's where, again, I have to commit to surrendering and relax and let my wife be her lovely self.
Well, I also hear in there too is that you had to like redirect yourself and respect your wife.
Exactly.
There's that respect thing in there, like even when you were joking and you said that line, it's like, when she said, don't do that, and you're like, well, stop acting stupid, it's kind of like we allow ourselves to say things or think things like that to our partner.
Right.
That's really disrespecting them, and
right.
that's like goes sideways, right? So I think that's a key piece in there too.
Yeah, it's the catching it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the catching it, because we do it and it
never
doesn't stop.
ends. It never ends. Just catching it, and so that was one of the things that she trained me in. I always say she was like my electric fence, where I used to be a nonstop, like, say what I want. This is what I want, and it's whatever. And this is actually, it's a place where we try to get our clients to, is a place where their external representation directly reflects their internal representation. And I want to talk more about that, because it's the best way to get what you want. So not be weird about it, but some of what I was saying was coming from an ego place instead of a higher self place.
Yeah.
And so I'd say something that I knew was going to trigger her. And, most of my girlfriends beforehand, they just let it go or smile or whatever. She was like, zap, zap. And so it was exactly what I needed, because it really got me in tune with that sensation that I was having just as I was saying something out loud. And so eventually, as I was starting to say it, I felt it, and I was like, I'm going to get zapped for this one. And then I'd say it, and I'd get zapped. And so now I just don't do it anymore, because I see what it does to our relationship. And I want this out of our relationship, and not, this.
Yeah.
So do I want to be right, or do I want to be happy?
So I think we should bring this to a close, so that leaving them wanting more. There will be more topic. Once a month we'll host a Google Hangout like this. So Sue, do you want to take us to a close, and then I'll do the final announcement or whatever? Yeah.
So I think what I'd love to just have everybody do, for some people have the lower thirds where people can find you. But just give us a little wrap up where people can get in touch with you and connect with you if they want to. So I guess let's do that, and then I'll just come back with a final thought. So I'm looking at the left of my screen, so that's Ben and Jen.
And Rhodey, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So where can people find you if they want to connect with you?
Our website, www.explosivesexualhealing.com, and just go check it out. We actually have somebody rebuilding our website right now, so it's going to be fantastically amazing. Yeah. And there's an amazing interview that we did on there that really explains a lot about what we do and the power of our work. And May and Sue and some other people did a Google Hangout on explosive sexual healing, so that's going to be on there, and it's going to be fantastic. So go check out the site, peruse a little bit. There's probably about 10 different interviews that we've been on, and different classes that we've taught and stuff like that. So all kinds of great information, and you can email me at ben@explosivesexualhealing.com. I'm the email answerer. And
don't email me. I'll take like a week and a half to get back to you. He'll actually get back to you within a day or so, usually, depending on how busy we are. But
yeah,
awesome. So much fun. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
May?
I'm May Vu. I host a weekly radio shows called Sex, Size, and Consciousness, and I am always looking for new topics, new conversations around sex. You don't have to be an expert. In fact, I rather you're not an expert, but I'll take experts if you're out there. But I really wanted just to have like kitchen table conversations around sex. to go deeper into whatever that we're wrestling with as humans on this planet. So, and I also really want to talk more about sex. With how do we teach kids around sex? That's starting to come out in, just I'm really passionate about that. So anybody who wants to talk about that with me, I'll be happy to. And I coach divorced women who are dating again. So whoever, if you're a powerful, up to something big woman and then end up with a divorce and you're, recovering and crashing and or trying to blend in with a new relationship, I am your woman. That would be really fun to play with. And that's it for now. And you can find me at sexliesandconsciousness.com, or you can also find me at maivucoach.com. Just my name, M-A-I-V-U, and then coach.com. All right.
Thank you. So Michael, I know that you're back. I'm not sure that your audio is on, but maybe what we can do in the Hangout notes is offer some people ways to connect with those folks who were not available via audio. So Paul, I know that you've got a site that you have. You want to tell people about that and how to connect with you?
Yeah, I'm. My website is primalrejuvenation.com. You can reach me there, and I help people eat for energy. I specialize in chronic fatigue, and also it's the ultimate sex diet, and for rejuvenation, looking and feeling young.
I actually have a radio show with him, an episode with him on that. It's really fascinating.
It's very good, yes.
Yeah, if you go to sexliesandconsciousness.com, in the radio show archive, you'll find it. Sex Diet Machine, I think. Sex Machine Diet. That's the title.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sex machine.
Great. Thanks, Stephen.
Yes, I'm Stephen Schomburg, sex coach and desire-based life coaching, specializing towards the dark. And I am at thebaronsteven@gmail.com.
I'm going to say that again so people can hear you. Stephen does sex coaching, and he works with people on the other edge, like really if you're into BDSM and all that good stuff or exploring in that arena, he's great in that world.
Thank you.
I kind of paraphrase you, but anyway.
And faithful student. Thank you.
Uh-huh. And Sue?
Yep, and I'm Sue Seibert. I love connecting on Facebook. I don't, maybe someday I'll have a website if I feel the need to. But Facebook's my desired way to connect. So you can get me on Facebook.com/Susan Seibert Coaching. So come on.
You can also see Sue's some of her blog posts on Sex Lies and Consciousness too. So she's on there too.
I forget about that sometimes.
I know. You wrote some really beautiful pieces on there. Very vulnerable.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Well, and picking up on that vulnerability piece, just like some closing thoughts. I loved I always love these Google Hangouts because we talk about really raw, vulnerable conversations, topics, but there's always such an element of fun and lightness and laughter to them, even when the topic can be sometimes a bit tough. So I love that, and I thank everybody for bringing that element to the conversation. Because it certainly makes the hour go by really fast.
I know. It doesn't need to be so significant.
Yeah, or serious.
Exactly.
But much more play. I think that's something that we all need. More lightness, more play, more fun. And I am excited for everybody who's going to be listening because there's so many good takeaways on this show. I know for myself, I've got a couple, Ben, that you shared that I'm going to have to go back and listen to get the names of things. But the biggest thing for me was, do I want to be happy or do I want to be right?
Yeah.
And to give instead of holding back what I might, in that time of struggle. So giving and connecting and yeah, just do I want to be happy or do I want to be right? It's so simple. Why do we make it so goddamn hard?
Well, because we don't.
We're created to want to be right. That's
Well, and because we don't trust, right? And we don't commit, and we don't surrender. So those are
we want to be
pillars.
noticed.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so the next Google Hangout is actually going to be 2 weeks away. So next the Thursday the 13th, and
13th.
I want to do one on sexless marriage. It's a tough one. There are a lot of sexless marriages out there, and it's not a subject that it's not an upper. It's definitely a downer.
A downer, like I said.
But I think that's really prevalent in couples and relationship and all that stuff right now. So I invite you all to come back, and other people who have something intelligent and to contribute to this, or if you're going through a sexless relationship right now and you want to share. It could be positive, it could be that you both are so happy that way, or however it plays out in your relationship.
I haven't had sex in like 6 hours.
It's too long.
I'm like a virgin again.
I think you're bragging, and I'm sick of it.
We have to go.
Me too. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sue, for hosting today. It was wonderful.
Goodbye, everyone.